Trains in Minecraft. It's a dream every kid has, and in the Create mod, it's possible. Automatic trains to do whatever you wish them to do. I am Bedrock Burger, your local Tricky Trials kind of guy. In this episode, I continue expanding my server's world, adding a new train station to my factory district, adding a rail system that goes across the world from my factory district to Pirate Cove, looping to a massive tower that another one of my friends constructed. All that and more in this episode. Before really starting though, I'm running a subathon for this channel. Every subscriber in March and April contributes to this factory district build, the one you see behind me. With your subscription adding a counter of unique fully decorated buildings I will construct here. If you leave a comment, one that's just not a question or whatnot, I add another building to the count and dedicate that building to you. Should have zoomed in when I said you get the point. You can also request to build and I'll fit it into the district if it can work. And at the end of April, if I pass 50 subscribers, I already am, I double the number that I end at. So, if I go from 24 all the way up to 74, that's a 50 subscriber gain, with 24 being where I started at. That will be 100 buildings to create. 50 subscribers and 10 comments will be 110 buildings, and so on. Subscribe today, make me suffer. Now, let's resume. In between episodes, I really stocked up on supplies for more builds. Concrete, dripstone, 19,000 rails, and frog lights. I started off by filling out the roads of the factory district using black concrete and white concrete. I also decided to flesh out more of the story of this district by adding a parking lot for all the citizens who will live in the city that will be built around the district. I have plans on plans on plans on plans for the city expansion. Stories, lore, additional districts to make the city more alive. If you guys have any name suggestions for the full city, let me know in the comments below. I haven't yet named it as it's still in the process of being built. It'll take time, but this city will look much different from the small island it used to be. With this parking lot finished, it was time to start on the next task. I wanted to hyper enchant my gear. As part of the Create Enchantment Industry mod, you can go berserk with enchanting, raising all max enchant levels by 1, so up to Efficiency 6, Unbreaking 4, Sharpness 6, and so on. I created a small alcove underneath my experience factory to house the setup. Hyper enchanting isn't too hard to set up, you just need to make a smart blaze with an enchanted guy. Slap a book in the slot and hand it to the blaze to set it to that enchantment. If you get enough hyper experience, you can upgrade your tool to that enchantment plus 1 level. So, how do you get hyper experience? It's actually not too bad. You need to mix lapis, glow squid ink, and liquid experience in a superheated blaze burner. Glow squid ink can be acquired easier by haunting regular squid ink. So I set a timer for an hour and set to absolutely massacring the local squid population, getting quite a lot of ink. After haunting it and making hyper experience, I upgraded my pickaxe to efficiency 6, which insta-mines a majority of blocks in the game. A bit broken, but it's fine, squid ink is pretty annoying to get. Now, we get to what you clicked on this video for, the trains. But first, the trains need a station. With the Create mod, huge builds have never been easier to do. In a separate creative world, I made a very large train station that will stretch along the southern end of the factory district. With schematic in hand, it's time for a schematic cannon montage. We love those here on Bedrock Burger. For the design, I went with a station that is easily traversable, with walkways going from one end to the other, stairs going from one floor to the top, and even an elevator for cargo. A lot of copycat panels were used as I just discovered them and how they work. Expect a lot more of the panels in future builds. The whole train crafting line starts from just one item, the sturdy sheet. In the last episode, I made an automated sturdy sheet crafter, where you slap powdered obsidian into an input barrel and get sturdy sheets outputted. I needed a lot more obsidian though, so I did something really dumb. Mined an obsidian pillar in the end. I had to take a break for a bit to kill a wither and build a beacon next to it, but after an hour I had enough obsidian to last forever. Not sure I'll ever use this many sturdy sheets, but hey, I'll never need to do it again. Hopefully, sturdy sheets, when manually placed or deployed onto brass casings, make train casings, used for everything train. I made 3 stacks because I can't help myself. It is then time for the rails, setting up a full route that loops from the factory district to our starter base and back, going to the floor of Kanjeko's tower that is meant to be a train stop. At first, I was manually placing everything, but it was boring and taking absolutely forever, so I had an idea, a genius idea. Use the schematic cannon to place the rails. With the schematic cannons in hand, rail placement flew by. I even added frog lights in the mix to light up the tracks. But let's take a little detour for a bit to talk about Kanjeko's tower. It was actually one of the first major builds on the server, even built before the Experience Factory in episode 1 of this series. I just couldn't find the right video to talk about it though. An absolutely monumental structure. It took several hours to shoot out with the schematic cannon. Its interior is currently unfinished as slowly the other server members stop playing this server, but it's still a major landmark on the server, going above build height due to a data pack. Meant to be a tower where airships can dock, it has several elevators that run up and down for cargo, and a really fast one in the middle to go from the top of the dome to the bottom floor. A truly insane build. Shout out to my buddy Kanjeko for making this. Leave a comment praising the build. It was a Herculean effort gathering the materials for it, oh my goodness. The route around the server was then completed from the factory district to spawn to Kanjeko's tower and back to the factory district. It was then time to move to the next train route, one all the way to another build on this server, Pirate Cove. Created by my buddy Enigma, it's located near the end portal and is a much further route than the previous one. This route will go from the factory district, down to spawn, then through several forests over to where the end portal is, then to the island that Pirate Cove sits on. Instead of a loop like the other track, I decided to just have a circular track at Pirate Cove and have the train I make there go the other direction back to the factory district. It's not laziness, it's efficiency. Now to the trains. They're not actually too difficult to make. All you need first is a train station, made from train casings and a compass. When holding it, looking at a rail shows an arrow. That's the direction the train will travel. Clicking that rail and then placing the station down allows you to interact with it to start assembling a train. The blue highlighted tracks are where train casings can be placed to create bogies. You can then build the train on said bogies, up to 2 per car. Just make sure to glue absolutely everything together and press to assemble the train. Voila, you have a fully working train. I created a train for each rail track I made, the 2 of them, and used a schematic cannon to shoot out the finished product. I tried to be a bit conservative and not crazy with these trains as they're my first one. Not some super complicated build for these ones. A ship-themed one for Pirates Cove, and a copper train for the factory district. Why yes, I did also add the Create Deco on so I could use copper train hold ads. Now for cleaning up the rails. A lot of the placed rails went through hills and trees, so I just had to clean it up. Didn't take too long, fortunately, with the Efficiency 6 shovel and Efficiency 6 pickaxe. I then tested the newly built trains out, hopping in the driver's seat and taking the bad boys for a spin. They worked perfect, if a hair laggy because server. After cleaning out some hiccups, which was mostly leaves over the tracks, I started to place stations around the server, stopping points for passengers to embark and depart. Using bees as conductors, just stealing them from the bee dome I made last episode, I made the long schedules I need. With the stations placed, I decided to name the train station at the factory district. I called it the Blue Sky Station, named after one of my 2 current Dungeons & Dragons characters. If you'd like me to share more about Blue Sky, let me know. I'm always happy to share lore of my D&D characters. Train schedules made, I checked to see if it was all working perfectly, riding the trains around to their routes. They worked perfectly, even actually less laggy than driving it. Stopping where they needed to, not crashing, you know the works. In the next episode of the series, which I already have mostly planned out, it's all gonna be about aesthetics. These train routes in this episode are very simplistic, mostly because I wanted to get this episode out before the end of April. In the next episode, we make the train routes look better, fix up some of the underside of the factory district, and hook all of my factory district up to a power plant. My goal is to have the district 100% automated by next episode, then start the city build, as the subathon will have ended by the time I start recording it. I usually take a short break after each episode. They do take a long time to do. Stay tuned for that in hopefully mid-May, or even earlier if I get on a roll. Make sure to leave a like, it helps out the channel. Thank you all for watching. Bedrock Burger, out!